Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, I am Fawwaz Muhammad from Universitas Gadjah Mada. I would like to share about solar energy. As engineering physics student in Universitas Gadjah Mada, one of our goals is to develop renewable energies in our beloved Indonesia. What is renewable energy? Renewable energies are considered as clean sources of energy. It doesn't damage the environment. And optimal use of this renewable energy minimize environment impacts. And renewable energies are sustainable based on current and future economic and societal needs. Renewable energies is generated from sources that naturally recharge themselves and they will never run out. Commonly, people know that the types of renewable energy are solar energy, wind energy, hydro energy, and geothermal energy. But in this time, we will just explain about solar energy. Solar energy is the energy that comes from the sun. This energy is the form of rays and heat from the sun. This energy is one of the largest potential energy sources, especially in Indonesia, which is located on the equator and it is exposed to the sun all year. Solar energy possesses the potential to adequately fulfill the energy demands of the entire world if technologies for its harvesting and supplying were readily available. Next. Now we talk about application of solar energy. First, electricity supply, BAPV, or building applied photovoltaics. PV technologies is now used in remote electricity supply and they can power electrical appliances directly or current driven from the storage battery. And now, second, roof-mounted PV systems for building integration. Building integrated photovoltaics or BIPV are now becoming popular to households in areas where no grid is set for electricity supply. Next, solar energy is used to irrigation for agricultural crops. Solar energy is now used in various parts of the world to irrigate field crops cost effectively and in areas where no electrical grid is available. Heating and cooling. Solar water heating and air heating are very popular nowadays for better production. Many researchers are done to improve solar heating and cooling system. Flat plate and evacuated tube solar heating and cooling systems are now commonly used with an intention of facilitating commercial and residential sectors, water and air heating systems. Solar energy for drying. Moisture content present in the agricultural process leads to microbial spoilage of such items. It is therefore important to remove free water available in such produce with an intention of avoiding activities of spoilage organisms. Now we talk about solar panel or photovoltaic module. Solar panels are commonly called photovoltaic panels or PV panels. Solar energy, which come from the sun in the form of solar irradiance, can be directly converted to electricity by using PV technology. PV technology uses solar cells made of semiconductors to absorb the irradiance from the sun and convert it to electrical energy. Currently, solar energy has drawn worldwide attention and is playing an essential role in providing clean and sustainable energy. The electrical efficiency of PV cells decreases with temperature increase. Cooling can improve the electrical protection of standard flat panel modules. Since cooling keeps the PV cells from reaching temperatures at which irreversible damage occurs. The research related to the nature of semiconductors, which are used in solar cells, has limited the efficiency of PV systems to 15 to 20%. Yeah. To build and install a PV panel at home can cost about $30,000. But the cost of solar photovoltaic system is about 80% greater than the value of the electricity it will produce. The primary costs are installation, parts and labor, and replacement of inverters. Costs have been coming costs have been coming down steadily for decades. Yeah, you can look this diagram. So they have flattened at least temporarily over the last few years. The 80% $10,000 DCPV system installation is a fair representation, possibly a bit optimistic. For a typical 10 kilowatt residential system in 2007, $8 per watt costs are likely to decline in the future. Okay, now I will talk about how the PV modules work. 99% today's solar cells are made of silicon. Yes, this. I'm sorry. A silicon has 14 electrons. 4 of them are valence electrons, meaning they are available to associate with other atoms. In a pure silicon crystal, this atom shares this valence electron with 4 neighbor atoms in covalent bonds. Okay, but for that, PV cells are made of polycrystalline silicon. The polycrystalline silicons are shaped and sliced into very thin layer that called silicon wafers. In a pure silicon crystal, its atom shares this valence electron with 4 neighbors in covalent bond. Yeah, this picture maybe will help you to understand this. The electron in the silicon structure has no freedom to move. Just like when you are bonded with someone, you lose your freedom. Similarly, the electron in the silicon structure. Then, a small number of phosphors with 5 valence electrons added into it when it is formed. In the structure, they will move freely when the electron gets sufficient energy. Doping with elements like phosphorus with 1 valence electron more than the original atom is called N-type doping. N for negative. And the dopant is called donor because it easily gives up electrons. Next. Not only phosphorus, but boron is also added to the silicon crystals. Doping silicon with boron has exactly the opposite effect. Boron has 5 electrons, 1 less than silicon. It has enough electrons for only 3 covalent bonds with neighboring atoms, leaving a hole. Yeah, hole. This hole is excited at room temperature into freedom room above the crystal. For silicon, boron is p-type dopant, P for positive, and called an acceptor because its unfilled bond or hole readily takes in free electrons. Next. Photovoltaic cells are diodes with a large surface area exposed to the sun. A diode is an N-type layer slapped onto a P-type layer. The space where the two layers meet is called the junction. When the diode is formed, the billions of free electrons near the junction in the N-type material immediately rush over to fill the holes in the P-type material, leaving the N side with a net positive charge. Cool. When the atom is abandoned by electron, it will have positive charge. And likewise, holes on the p side migrate to the n-type material, leaving the p side of the junction with a net negative electrostatic charge. The n side becomes positively charged and the p side becomes negatively charged. An electric field will be formed between these charges. Then light strikes the N region and it penetrates and reaches up to the junction region. This photon energy is sufficient to generate electron-hole pairs in the junction region. The electrons go to the N side and holes go to the P side. It can be seen that the concentration of electrons in the N region and holes in the P region become so high that a potential difference will develop between them. Connecting the two sides with an electrical load, the photo-generated electrons will flow from the N side through the load to the lower energy P side. In this way, a solar cell continuously gives direct current. So that's how the PV modules work. Okay. Now we talk about advantage and disadvantage of this solar energy. Their weights. First, the advantage. Their weights would be highly valuable if they go to the process of recycling. Reusing these recycled compounds for the reproducting the PV would decrease the production cost of the material and support to diminish the carbon footprint. By reusing these recycled compounds, almost 90% of the first raw material investment cost can be retained. The average lifetime of PV modules is between 20 to 30 years. And the disadvantage is some limitation on availability of system in the market. Of course, expensive price. Need a larger installation area for the same power of diesel generator because the solar cell is need a large area for exposed to the sun, and it is weather dependent because you cannot gain the sunlight when it is raining. Now I will talk about development of solar power plants in Indonesia. This is solar resource map photovoltaic power potential in Indonesia. Yeah, you can know. Mostly is in yellow color. meaning that Indonesia is very, very potential to be applied this plan. Indonesia is located on the equator, so it has good intensity of sunshine throughout the year. The use of solar power for electricity generation has actually been done for quite a long time, but its application is still limited to small power system, or better known as solar home system, SHS. This SHS is usually a government aid provided on a subsidized basis, and rural communities at, use it as a means of lighting at night to replace kerosene lamps. In this context, it can be seen that the approach used is top-down, so that so far the development of SHS have been very dependent on government programs, and so far the contribution of national solar electricity is still very small. And to build a solar plant on a big scale, some of the indicators that can be used to evaluate the contribution of PV technologies towards sustainable livelihoods of the communities are: first, suitability, ability of PV technologies to meet the requirements or needs of the people; effectiveness, the driving objectives for PV technologies and how effective are these objectives; livelihood resilience, effect of PV technology on the financial resources or savings on the people; livelihood diversification, effect of PV technology towards people's options and choices for income generating activities; environment protection, effect of PV technologies on the natural resource base. Yeah, I think that's enough. Thank you for your attention, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.